What if I told you that the quiet girl sitting alone in the cafeteria, the one everyone whispered about and no one wanted to sit with, was secretly building an empire that would change thousands of lives? This is the true story of Maya Chan, and what she was hiding will completely reshape how you think about strength, revenge, and resilience. By the time you reach the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes the people who seem the weakest are actually gathering the kind of strength that can move mountains. Maya was 14 when the bullying started. It began with whispers, then escalated to cruel notes shoved into her locker, lunchroom isolation, and finally, a fake social media account created solely to mock her appearance and family background. Her classmates called her charity case because she wore the same 3 outfits on rotation. They didn't know her single mother worked 2 jobs just to keep their small apartment. They didn't care. Studies show that nearly 1 in 5 students experience bullying. But what most people don't realize is that 70% of young people say they've witnessed bullying in their schools, yet only 20 to 30% ever report it. Maya was drowning in plain sight, and nobody threw her a lifeline. She would walk through those school hallways feeling invisible and hypervisible at the same time. Invisible to anyone who might help, but painfully visible to those who wanted to hurt her. The worst day came in October of her freshman year. Someone had posted a photo of Maya eating lunch alone with the caption, "Nobody wants you here." It got shared 47 times before the school day ended. Maya's hands shook as she scrolled through the comments, each one more vicious than the last. That afternoon, she locked herself in the school bathroom and cried until her eyes were swollen. She seriously considered never coming back. Her mother found her that evening staring blankly at the wall, and when she asked what was wrong, Maya just said she had a headache. She couldn't bear to add her problems to her mother's already crushing load of responsibilities. That night, Maya made a decision that would alter the entire trajectory of her life, though she didn't know it yet. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. While her classmates were obsessing over likes and followers, Maya was spending every evening after school in her bedroom doing something completely different. She wasn't plotting revenge or spiraling into depression like so many bullying victims do. She was coding, teaching herself programming languages through free online courses, building websites, creating apps. Her mother barely knew what she was doing on that old laptop. She just knew Maya stayed up until midnight most nights, the glow of the screen illuminating her determined face. What started as an escape became an obsession, and that obsession became a skill set that would soon make her classmates' jaws drop. Maya had discovered something profound. When you can't control what happens to you, you can still control what you create from it. She started with basic HTML and CSS, building simple websites about topics she loved: books, astronomy, mental health awareness. Then she moved into JavaScript, then Python. Every tutorial she completed felt like a small victory, a tiny piece of control in a life that felt chaotic and painful. Her teachers noticed she seemed distracted in class, but they assumed she was just another struggling student. They had no idea she was working through college-level computer science concepts in her spare time. Maya later said in an interview, "Coding gave me a language when I felt like I had no voice. Every line of code that worked was proof that I could build something meaningful, even when people were trying to tear me down." By 15, Maya had built her first functional app, a peer support platform designed specifically for bullied students. It was anonymous, safe, and connected young people experiencing similar struggles with trained peer counselors and mental health resources. She called it Silent Strength. The name came from a quote she'd read online. Silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's the quiet before you rise. The app wasn't fancy or professionally marketed, but she posted about it in online forums for students dealing with bullying. Within 3 months, 500 students had downloaded it. Within 6 months, that number hit 10,000. Maya said nothing to anyone at school. She watched her bullies scroll past her in hallways, completely unaware that the girl they tormented daily was being featured in tech blogs and student advocacy websites. The app had features that Maya had specifically designed based on her own experiences. There was a crisis button that immediately connected users to trained counselors. There was a journaling feature where students could document their experiences privately, which many later used as evidence when reporting bullying to authorities. There was a community forum where users could share coping strategies, words of encouragement, and resources. Maya moderated the forums herself every evening, responding to messages from students across the country who were going through exactly what she was experiencing. She told one user who was contemplating suicide, "Your story doesn't end with their cruelty. It begins after it. Please stay." That user later credited Maya with saving their life. Then came the assembly that changed everything. Maya's school had organized an anti-bullying week, and the principal invited a special guest speaker, a young entrepreneur who had created technology to help at-risk youth. You can imagine the shock that rippled through that auditorium when Maya Chen walked onto that stage. Her main bully, a girl named Jessica who had orchestrated months of torment, literally gasped out loud. Several students started whispering, confused about why the girl they dismissed was being introduced as an accomplished innovator. For the next 30 minutes, Maya shared her story, not with bitterness or anger, but with raw honesty. She talked about the nights she cried herself to sleep, the days she considered dropping out, and the moment she decided that her pain could become someone else's lifeline. She revealed that Silent Strength had now grown to over 50,000 users across 12 countries, and she'd just secured a $20,000 grant from a tech nonprofit to expand its capabilities. She showed statistics on the screen. Over 300 students had reported that the app had helped them avoid self-harm. 15 students had used resources from the app to successfully report their bullies to school authorities. 42 schools had adopted Silent Strength as part of their anti-bullying programs. Every number represented a real person, a real story, a real life that had been touched by what Maya had built in her bedroom while her classmates were mocking her online. The principal had tears in her eyes. Several teachers who had failed to notice Maya's suffering looked devastated by their oversight. But the most powerful moment came when Maya did something no one expected. She looked directly at Jessica and the group of students who had made her life miserable and said, "I forgive you. Not because what you did was okay, but because holding on to that anger would have destroyed the person I was becoming." The silence in that auditorium was deafening. Several students were crying. Jessica's face had gone pale, her hands gripping the edge of her seat. Maya continued, "You taught me that I had two choices, become bitter or become better. I chose better. And now, the same pain you caused me is helping thousands of other kids choose better too. You thought you were breaking me down, but you were actually building my purpose." She went on to explain the science behind what had happened to her. When we experience trauma, our brains can actually rewire themselves. There's a concept in psychology called post-traumatic growth, where people who go through terrible experiences sometimes emerge stronger and more purposeful than before. That doesn't mean the trauma was good, it wasn't. It means that humans have an incredible capacity to transform suffering into meaning. Maya then shared statistics that hit hard. The National Center for Education Statistics reports that 1 out of every 5 students experiences bullying, and those students are 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide than non-victims. But she also shared the hope. Studies show that having a sense of purpose reduces depression by 43% and anxiety by 33% in young people. Purpose, she explained, had literally saved her life. The aftermath was extraordinary. Jessica publicly apologized in front of the entire school, breaking down as she admitted her own insecurities and family problems that she'd projected onto Maya. She revealed that her parents were going through a brutal divorce, and she'd been taking out her pain on someone she perceived as weaker. It didn't excuse what she'd done, but it humanized her. She asked Maya how she could possibly forgive her, and Maya's response became a viral moment when a student posted it online. "Forgiveness isn't saying what you did was okay. It's saying I refuse to let what you did control my future." That video clip got over 2 million views and sparked a national conversation about bullying, forgiveness, and healing. Several other students came forward with their own bullying stories, and the school's entire culture began to shift. Teachers implemented new protocols for identifying and addressing bullying. The school counselor started a weekly support group that Maya helped design, using principles from her app. Students who had been bystanders spoke up about their guilt for not intervening and pledged to be upstanders instead. The principal later said it was the most significant cultural transformation she'd witnessed in 20 years of education. All because one girl decided to turn her pain into purpose. But here's what really matters. Maya didn't stop. She's now 17. Her app has over 200,000 users worldwide. and she's been accepted to MIT with a full scholarship to study beside the non-victims. But it also shows that having just one supportive outlet or purpose can dramatically reduce that risk. Maya became her own outlet, her own purpose. She transformed her vulnerability into a mission. And here's the truth that makes this story so powerful. Maya isn't superhuman. She's a regular kid who made an extraordinary choice when faced with unbearable pain. She chose to create instead of destroy, to build instead of break, to help instead of hurt. She didn't have special advantages or a safety net. She had an old laptop, free internet tutorials, and a stubborn refusal to let cruelty have the final word in her story. Maya now employs 3 other young people who experienced bullying, and together they run Silent Strength as a nonprofit organization. They've testified before state legislatures about anti-bullying legislation. They've created curriculum for schools that teaches both empathy and digital citizenship. They've built partnerships with mental health organizations in 14 countries. What started as one girl's attempt to survive has become a global movement of young people supporting each other through the darkest times. The organization has received awards from the American Psychological Association, the National Education Association, and the Diana Award, which honors young people creating social change. Perhaps most remarkably, Maya and Jessica eventually became friends. Not immediately. Healing took time, but Jessica joined Silent Strength as a volunteer, sharing her own story of being a bully to help others understand the psychology of why hurt people hurt people. She speaks at schools alongside Maya, and their joint message is powerful. Bullying damages everyone involved, and healing is possible for both victims and perpetrators. They've written articles together for teen magazines about redemption, accountability, and the courage it takes to change. Their friendship has become a testament to human capacity for growth and forgiveness. Oh, what's the real secret Maya was hiding? It wasn't just an app or a business or even an escape route from her pain. It was the unwavering belief that she was worth more than the cruelty she experienced, and that her story could be the beginning of someone else's healing. She proved that the best revenge isn't vengeance. It's becoming someone so authentically powerful that your former bullies can't help but respect who you've become. She demonstrated that trauma doesn't have to be a life sentence. It can be a launching pad. Her story echoes the words of author Glennon Doyle. Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. If you're going through something difficult right now, if you're the one being pushed aside or torn down, remember Maya's story. Your pain is real, but it doesn't have to be your ending. It can be your beginning. You have skills, talents, and potential that your bullies can't see because they're too focused on tearing you down. But you can see it. You can build it. You can become it. Maya wants you to know that Silent Strength isn't just the name of her app. It's what you already have inside you, waiting to be activated. Drop a comment below sharing what inspires you to keep going when times get tough. Hit that like button if this story moved you. And subscribe because we share real stories about real people doing extraordinary things with their second chances.